Yeah, the George Nolan special. Yeah.
Outlaws do advocates, we speak the truth. Got a mic in our hand, yeah, we're breaking loose. From behind the bars, the breaking glass roofs. We're telling our stories and dropping mad truth. Yo, it's George, Jesse, and Jeremy on the mic. 3 outlaws on a mission, man, it feels so right. We were doing hard time, now we're dropping rhymes. Turn the hustle into hope, redefining our prime. From the prison yard to podcast fame, taking back our power, no more shame. We used to wear numbers, now we wear names.
Okay, yeah, get jiggy with it. Yeah. Jeremy's feeling it.
You got after it, huh?
Yeah, man's feeling it. Let the man dance. Man was feeling it.
So we have, that's my favorite part of the podcast is that opening song. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I know not everybody's a fan of it, but I happened to make a song for a friend of mine the other day, and she absolutely loved it. She actually cried about it. So the song making might be my new thing.
Great.
And I can produce a whole entire song, lyrics and everything in under 3 minutes. Thank you to AI.
That is scary.
So, Outlaws to Advocates, welcome everybody. We're here Wednesday nights. We're back. My name is George Nolan, reentry advocate, recovery advocate, and man, just happy every day.
Right on, George. My name's Jesse Messer, and normally I like to introduce myself as a reentry advocate, recovery advocate, but really I'm just a human being trying to find my way.
Dang.
Really, at the end of the day.
Way to clean it up.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Nice.
I don't even know how to follow that.
That's a tough follow.
Yeah,
Start dancing.
I could. Yeah. My name's Jeremy. I'm definitely a recovery addict, but I'm all things recovery. I just love watching change, seeing change, chasing change. Love my community. Love my life. Love my wife. Things are good.
That's awesome, man. So tonight we have a little bit break from the norm. I love our guests, right? But it's kind of nice just to have 3 of us tonight talk about some stuff. We talked before the podcast about what we're going to talk about, and that's what works and what doesn't work as far as reentry, life, recovery, all that kind of stuff. And I know for myself personally, I'm an expert on what does not work.
Yeah.
Right? I've spent a lot more time figuring out what doesn't work than I have figuring out what does work.
PhD. Yeah.
PhD. And I saw something today, and I hope he's fucking listening. I was at parole orientation, and there was a guy there, and they had a sheet. They say, hey, talk to 3 of the vendors and get them to sign your sheet. Guys like, well, what if I don't need anything from anybody? Immediate. Turning down free help off the rip, day 1 on parole or whatever, first couple of days on parole. I was just like, man, I hope I get a chance to talk to that guy today. And I didn't. He
didn't need nothing.
He didn't need nothing. Turns out he had it all figured out. So that's just a good reminder of what not to do, right? It's not the easiest thing in the world to ask, but when you're surrounded by, and I get it, man, coming out of parole, coming out of prison, it's not a great feeling. Being made to go to a parole orientation, not a great feeling. But even if that's your initial attitude in the beginning, after hearing a few of us speak and the amount of time that the people in that room have done, kind of hope to see a little bit of a change, but didn't. So as far as what doesn't work, not asking for help. One of the most important things I would say that I see the most. I think we all got it figured out. What about you?
So one of the things that came to mind when we were talking about the topics was that, we were talking a little bit before this, was that what works for me and what doesn't work for me doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to work or not work for you. One of the things that I've learned on my journey of recovery is that there's 2 parts to staying sober. There's getting sober and staying sober, and that it's more of a marathon than a sprint. Like in the past, my family would shove me into treatment centers, detoxes, jail stints, and I would get my life back together, get my clarity back together, and I would stop doing all the things that helped me get better, and I would go right back to doing the same things that I'd always done. So to answer your question, what I believe works is if you find something, whatever that looks like for anybody as an individual, don't stop doing the things that you did to help you get better once you get better. Because in the past, that was the number one thing that I failed in, is that I would get better and I would stop doing the things that made me better. And today, after 17 years of incarceration and just destroying my life time and time again, I've come to the realization that now that my life is on track, to keep it on track, I need to keep doing the things that help me get on track.
Cool, man.
So that's what I would start with. How about you, Jeremy?
I'm a little over 3 years into this deal now, man, and I would say complacency. Complacency for me is a big one, and you just knowing that I have to. It's okay to hit that reset, when I need to, but it does take community. So even 3.5 years into this, I rely on the resources that help me transition to this day.
Why wouldn't
So,
you, right?
yeah, why wouldn't you, right? One, they understand. Two, we know the space. They know the space. I have this, and I'm hoping it goes away. Like the farther I get away, the farther I move, the more I forget, right? But the closer I am, the more I remember. So like all this stuff actually still takes place.
Yeah.
And I see the world differently than, I don't know, let me say the word normies, right? So I need my connection to my incarcerated people to see me through.
Yeah, I want to touch on that a little bit more when it comes to connection. So something else that hasn't worked for me in the past is pretty much every friend that I've ever had from the age of 13 years old has been somebody that uses drugs,
Not me.
has been somebody that's been to prison, has been somebody that's been a criminal. And those were the people that I was close to. Those were the people that I associated with. And like I was talking about before, every time I tried to get sober, I would stop doing the things that helped me get better. And I would go back to them same old friends that were doing the same things that they'd always been doing. Not that they're bad people, but if I make a decision to go on a different path, going back to those same people that were doing the same things that they've always done is just going to lead me to doing what I've always done. So for me, one of the most important things, talking about connection, is building a support group of people that are like-minded that are going to add value to your life.
Mm-hmm.
That is so important.
That is correct.
I mean, with you two right here, I mean, I know that I can call you at any time, talk to you about anything, be 100% honest with you without judgment, and you guys are going to give me sound counsel, and you're going to help me find an answer to something that I'm struggling with, and I can always count that it's going to be something that is going to be correct. When I have those other people in my life, the answers could be something that is going to help me self-destruct. So it's important to have people in your life that are going to add value and are like-minded.
It's extremely important. And I did a presentation today up at Casa Grande, a really cool place called TLCR. Right? It's kind of like a peer-ran community center for people like us, people struggling. And just seeing that sense of community in there, the way the peers were in there, I'm not sure what everybody's title was, but the way they all connected with each other, the support they had in the room, you can see the buy-in in some places. I've also been in treatment centers where everybody hates to be there.
Yeah.
Everybody's miserable. They're asking me, hey, can I leave with you? Like I'm just here on a tour, man.
Yeah.
But up
Like,
there,
what's your place like? Yeah.
up there at TLCR today, it was really cool to see people at a different stage in their recovery process, building that community, right? And being around people that I didn't know at all, and realizing, because sometimes I can get pretty short-sighted, right? Or what's that? Tunnel vision, right? Because we have our recovery community. I forget that there's a whole million recovery communities out there. And it was really cool to see a different facet of that today.
Yeah. Moving along a little bit, something that works, I believe, is keeping an attitude of gratitude and not feeding into negativity. For me, one of the things that I've realized along this journey is the way that I think directly affects the way that I feel. And a lot of times I act on feelings. So it's really important that I manage them and I keep them in I keep them in check. And one of the ways that I do that is, when I'm having a bad day, when I'm getting irritated, when I'm getting frustrated, instead of feeding into that negativity and becoming bitter, irritable, frustrated, I start focusing on the good things that I have in my life. I just celebrated 8 years sober. I have a job. I've got friends in my life that actually care about me. I'm able to be with my family. I'm free. And I start focusing on the things that matter. And all of a sudden, the things that are frustrating me seem a lot smaller than they were before. And I believe that mindset is everything. It's a big part of my serenity. If I'm ever going to find peace, joy, and serenity, then I have to focus on the good in my life. I have to stay away from the negativity. For me, that is so key.
Speaking of the good in your life, Miss Mojica just came on. She's just so everybody else knows who she is. She's a DES rep, works with people that are incarcerated, helps them get their jobs and their resume, all around rock star. I know she set Jesse and I up for success and allowed us to learn and grow while we were at the Second Chance Center.
Hi, Miss Mojica.
Hey, Miss Mojica. It's so awesome. But yeah, it's like kind of what you were talking about with earlier. I'm going to circle back a little bit, kind of getting away from the stuff that got us to where we're at, you know, whether that's happy or, you know, wherever. I was telling Ashley today, like, I got to get back to meditating. My mind it's just going. It's just going. It's just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And then when I want to have some downtime, I go play a video game, which is just stimulating the brain more. So I'm never giving my mind a chance to tone down, and meditating was how I started my day every day in prison. Yeah. And that set me off on a pretty good path. And I got away from it. I got away from my morning readings. I don't have time. I got away from the exercise. I don't have time. And I'm starting to see I'm hitting that plateau. Like, time to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
Time to go back to the basics.
Dopamine resets.
Practice that self-care. Yeah. And another huge part, we're never having another fucking therapist on here. Ever. We had Erin Yeager on here, and I said something about being forced to do social stuff. She sent me a thing about like a sober St. Patty's Day. And I was just like, I don't know. I got to check. I don't know. She's like, listen, dude, you said you had to be forced to do this stuff. You're coming. I'm like, shit. That's what I get for having a freaking therapist on here, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome. So
the coolest therapist on the planet.
Oh yeah, she's a badass, dude.
She's a badass.
I love her, but she's still a therapist and she remembers shit.
Yeah, piggybacking on the meditation a little bit. You know, I remember when I was in prison, one of the things that my sponsor suggested that I do is that I pray and I meditate every morning. And at the time, I was so angry and I was so resentful about God. I didn't want to hear nothing about God. I didn't give a shit about God. I was so fucking upset about the way my life had turned out. I was looking at an astronomical amount of time ahead of me, and I was just fucking angry. And I remember he said, are you willing to go to any lengths for this? And I says, yeah. Then he goes, then be willing to do the things that I suggest you do. And I started praying and I started meditating to a God that I didn't necessarily believe in or didn't necessarily want it to have any part of my life. And I started noticing that my days started getting a little smoother. I was able to handle situations a little bit easier. I wasn't as bitter. I started being able to find joy even in prison. And what started as just being resistant turned into a daily practice of life that I don't even think that I could exist today without doing it. I mean, I really believe that staying connected to something greater than myself is a key component of my recovery. You know, the 12-step program, which is something that I practice, you know, one of the foundations is connecting with something greater than yourself. So that way you can tap into the power that's going to give you the strength to stay sober. And, you know, it's done that. You know, I've been sober longer than I've ever been in my life. And a big part of that is prayer and meditation. I mean, I don't do anything today without praying. I don't start my day without praying. I don't make major decisions without praying. I don't go to sleep without praying. Prayer is just a huge part of my life. And what started as just a resistance has turned into a friendship and a partnership that I don't think that I could exist in life without it. So it's a huge part of my recovery.
We have a meditation shout out too. Angelo shared with me that he had been talking to his brother while he was still incarcerated about the practice of meditation and the benefits. But it wasn't until his brother actually watched this podcast that he literally took his brother for real and then really started opening up to meditation practices. He said, I got to see it from a different lens, and it was from this show. So I wanted to, you know, Angelo wanted me to thank you guys for building something between his family.
That's cool, awesome.
Man. Yeah.
And really good news, because that sounds like we might have had 5 listeners one week.
Yeah.
Right?
And I do want to tell you too, Angelo's house is not far from here. He had carved out a whole room, right? And all 3 of us at any given time want to call him and over there and learn anything more about meditation. He's a G.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Really, really cool stuff. And that's kind of why we do this. Even lately, I've been a little bit overwhelmed, have a lot going on.
Yeah. And
I've been not so motivated for the podcast, right? And it's just like, oh man, Wednesday, I got a lot to do. But then you hear little things like that, and it's important, man, for the messaging. It's important for the connection here. It's important for everybody just to have a place to come and talk and kind of share. You know, so that's really cool to hear that. Plus,
So it's like-
plus I love Angelo. He's on there right now. What's up, Angelo?
Awesome.
And I love, you know, and it's a whole week before I see you guys, right? So I always try to make sure that you guys are always in my prayers. And then to check in with you outside of it, at least once a week, no matter what. Do my best to reach out and try to support and, you know, stay as connected as possible because, you know, life can get really busy and it can separate us, you know, in its own little fashion. And, you know, I couldn't wait for you guys to get out, dude. Honestly. You know?
I couldn't wait for Jesse to get out either.
Yeah.
Man, when's this motherfucker going home, dude?
You guys have been out almost over a year now, right?
I just hit my year mark.
And
Yeah.
so you're coming up on
April 9th.
Yeah.
April 9th, yeah. It's
April
coming
9th.
up.
April 9th will be a year, and it's been such an awesome year. And we were kind of circling back to the what works and what doesn't,
What doesn't work, yeah.
And something else we talked about today. Like shit gets pretty fucking hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Even though they're really, really good problems, it does not make them
Great
any,
problems.
Yeah, doesn't make them any less anxiety, whether it's homework or doing something at the house or figuring out how to do something at work. Something I teach on all the time is asking for help. Right? That was literally the first thing I talked about today. But then I had to do something at work. I didn't know how to do it. I felt like it was very low level stuff. So I should know how to do it. So because of that lack of self-esteem, you know, that lack of self-worth, that I don't want people to know that I don't even know how to do this. It took me like a week and a half to go ask for help. And I have really good people that I work with that would absolutely help me, no judgment. They're not going to do it for me, but they'd sit with me and show it to me. And so I asked. It took me an hour and a half, and I had something done that I'd been struggling with, putting off, stressing about for almost 2 weeks.
Right.
And it's just, it's, even though that stuff builds up and even though they're good problems, it's still anxiety, right? Figuring out ways to practice that self-care, crucial.
I know exactly what you mean. And when that overlaps, it's hard to articulate, you know, what you have to prioritize because you know that there's something there that you have to get done or that you are pressing on. So it actually feeds its distraction in other little areas. And yeah, it does. It gets overwhelming, man.
It absolutely does.
Yeah, touching on something too that I think absolutely has to get done because I feel like we'd be doing a disservice to recovery without talking about service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, service, I believe, is almost equally as important to a power greater than yourself, is giving back and making time for others and accepting that, you know, there's more to this world than me and my problems. And what I found is that when I take time out of my day for others, you know, I just feel like I'm walking in my purpose, and I'm walking in a place that I'm supposed to be. I believe that like this entire universe is connected. You know, I believe that all of us are connected. And for me, like when I'm able to give back, there's something powerful that in the universe that works. There's something powerful in the universe just at work when you're giving back. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I spent 30 years sticking everything in my arm trying to feel some kind of way, right? 30 years doing it. And a lot of people, I think, and I'm speaking for myself here, but when people hear talk about service work, they think about being selfish, right? I mean, they think about being selfless. They think about doing for others. They think about, you know, volunteering and out of the goodness of your heart and all of that stuff. And that's a part of it. But I'll be honest with you, like that kind of work, the reason I get up in the morning is that shit feels really fucking good. Really, really good, right? To be there for somebody, to have a conversation, to show up, to answer a phone call.
Yeah.
I mean, if it feels great, it's not like a big, huge sacrifice, right? It's not like, oh yeah, I'm doing this just for you. Hell no, I'm getting something huge out of this. This feels really good. And at the end of the day, for once in my fucking life, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
Right? I can go to bed tired and say, man, I had a really good day today.
Yeah, like Easy said when he was on our podcast at one time, where he, you know, opens the door for the lady and then returns the shopping cart to the where all the shopping carts go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's
absolutely.
a little, you know,
simple.
Not only
simple.
that, some of the most impactful people in prison, have been the people that came into the prisons when I was sitting in there. I remember I used to always look forward to the
Mhm.
H&I volunteers that would come
Yep.
in and they would bring meetings. I'd wait for them all month. There was times where nobody came in, and then there was times when they would come in once a month. And I
Yeah.
can just remember waiting to see them and how happy I was and how much it meant to me to get some outside perspective, outside of the place that we were at.
And to
And-
meet somebody that's going out of their way, the long drive,
Yeah,
the whole bit, it's
consistently
consistently.
showing up for somebody other than themselves.
Marlo gave years of service, years of service work.
Absolutely a blast, man. I wake up every day super happy, super tired sometimes, but being of service is definitely 100% something that works. I could
At
not,
the end of the day,
could not, I
Yeah.
couldn't agree with you more. There's also something that you talked about before, and I wanted to touch on this. You said making decisions when you're in your emotions,
Yeah.
right? And my buddy Brett, he owns a nonprofit or runs a nonprofit, whatever the terminology is, for reentry by design. He's like he's my second mentor I ever had. And he's been with me for like 5 years. I still learn from him. And he told me not every bad decision has been made. Not every bad decision that's made is made. Oh, I'm going to mess this up right now.
Butcher it.
Yeah, not every bad decision is made. Not every emotional decision is a bad decision, but every bad decision made was based on emotions.
Yeah.
It's like it really hit home because it's hard to see out of that when you're furious or you're mad or you're angry. Like you don't ever see another side of it. Then you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh shit, it really wasn't that bad, or I could have looked at that different. And stepping back, having that emotional intelligence to take a break and move forward. I wanted to circle back to what you had said there because it's hard for us, for a lot of us. And even I heard somebody saying the other day with people in our community, they feel like if you can't do something for them right away, it's bad service, right? And I get it because we spent years in prison asking for help, asking for this, asking for that, and whatever percent of the staff's a pretty high percent of the staff sometimes, or just wait and they never come back, or just wait and it's 3 days later. And sometimes you're talking about your release, you're like, man, I'm going home,
Or roll of toilet paper.
or
I can't wait.
or that,
I need it now.
yeah,
or that stuff, and then learning that when you get out here, stuff can't just be done right now.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Have some patience. It might take a day, but this is what I do for a living. I love you. I got you. We're gonna get through it. But being able to kind of change that paradigm, that perspective to I'm not blowing you off like you've been blown off for 5 years. I'm actually telling you, wait, so I can type this up, send an email, get a response, figure it out, and see what that looks
and
like.
come up with solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Catherine Cavellis is on here. She runs the, Catherine, we still got to get you on here too, by the way. She runs the Errors Foundation, that thing that we do on Tuesday nights with homeless outreach.
Nice.
It's a great event. I didn't make it this week, but
I spoke to her today.
she does amazing work.
She does.
I absolutely love Catherine.
I hadn't spoke to her in some time from my days at Northside, and I texted her today, and I'm like, yeah, my friend George gets out there. She's like, I love George! Exclamation point. She's an incredible light, especially out there for the Tempe community and the houseless populations. It's not far from my house. I'm probably going to set up with you. Marlo, bring Marlo, have fun.
Right on. Yeah. It's a blast. We're there on Tuesdays, and I go out there with New Freedom. There's so many different vendors out there. There's so many. I mean, everything from, depending on what people donate, from rollerblades to, one of the coolest things, Ashley and I were bagging pills, right? Not something I should be saying while I'm on probation, probably, but we put some ibuprofens in little bags. Catherine sends them over and we put them all together. And Ashley sat there, her and I, when we were in the apartment, and we had this pile of bagged pills, ibuprofens and Tums.
You guys did it when the officer that we had retired PD.
Tommy Thompson.
Yeah.
In seals, sitting there, and I'm like, man, if we get pulled over on the way to this event, we're going to jail for at least a little while, dude. At least a little while. It was just, it's really cool, man, to be a part of that and to service work, man.
Yeah, when I did service work for Shot in the Dark, and I'd have like a big can of just dirty rigs in the back of my truck. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I've got like all these service tools that you could use. I was just like, what is happening? But in all confidence, I know it's like I felt like if I got pulled over, I'd be able to explain exactly what it is and be 100% honest.
Yeah.
For once, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Let's talk about something else that works. How about working an honest day for an honest day's pay? That's something that in the past I struggled with. I refused to work. I was always looking for the easier, softer way, whether that looked like living off my parents or stealing or committing crime or selling drugs, whatever that looked like, I didn't want to have to work. And
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the fucking easier, softer way. Right?
yeah, it really is. It really is. It's easier to just go to work, get your paycheck, and be good.
And that's something I talk about all the time because they say that winners don't quit. And I fucking hate that. I absolutely hate it. It makes no sense to me. Yes, they absolutely do. Winners don't do shit they don't want to fucking do. So if you have a job you hate, I look back at it now and it's not the only reason, but even when I'm driving to work and I see the people next to me and they're fucking miserable and they're driving their car and they're pissed off, I never wanted to be that. And that's what I imagined everybody who had a job, that's what your life looks like. I was fuck that. You know, obviously it cost me dearly, for that state of mind. And now I have a job. I go to work every day and I fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it. I have my days that are tough. I have my days where I'm challenging, but I'm surrounded by great people. And again, back to the community. And I talked to Justin, who's our vocational director, and I wasn't bitching, but I was like, man, I got this going on and this going on. I'm like, I'm kind of overwhelmed. He's like, are you uncomfortable? It's fucking extremely. He goes, that's where you want to be. You're growing. Being uncomfortable sucks, right? We say that word, but it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And it was a really good reminder to me. And then Ashley, one day, a couple of days ago, she said, man, you complain a lot. And I'm not a complainer. I haven't been up until the last couple of weeks. I was just like, it reminded me of my mindset. I'm looking at everything as a fucking problem instead of practicing that attitude of gratitude and being grateful for the stuff that I have. I'm grateful I have these problems. I had a math tutor come on the other day, and I was telling her, I was like, oh, these math problems are killing me. She's like, listen, man, if all you got is a math problem, you're doing pretty good. And I was just like, I had to really put things in. It was like this elderly woman on a virtual tutoring session, and it kind of just reset me. I'm like, yeah, you're fucking right. Dude. You're right. But again, it comes back to having the right people in your life who are going to give you healthy feedback and have a real conversation with you. That's pretty awesome. What's the main thing that hasn't worked for you so far?
Honestly, the main thing that hasn't worked for me is probably thinking that because I'm sober, I can associate and hang out with people that are using regularly, thinking that I'm not going to use. I would say that is the number one factor in my life that has caused me to relapse. I mean, at the end of the day, I chose to put the substance in my body, but
While you're dead sober.
while I'm dead sober, the most insane thing that we'll ever do, we do sober. That's a fact. But no, I really believe that, falling victim to the delusion that I'm good and that I can be around that stuff, knowing that I'm an addict, knowing that I struggle with substance use problems, and knowing that it's a high risk situation and doing it anyway. And every single time, if I look back at my patterns in my history, that leads to relapse.
Oh.
So I don't do that today.
Nice.
I don't do that today. And 8 years sober.
So what about like hanging out at the Cava bars? You don't find that high risk?
No, not really. Because
Expensive.
it's not alcohol and it's not drugs. And a lot of the people in there are recovery oriented.
Okay.
They really are.
Yeah, I don't really look at that as necessarily a high risk situation. What I'm more referring to is women that use drugs that maybe I frequented with in the past, maybe having an ulterior motive of maybe wanting to sleep with them, but convincing myself that I'm just going over there to say hi, or or just really falling.
It's crazy the shit we can tell
The
ourselves.
denial,
and
the
actually believe it.
rationalization, or going around seeing my old partners because I haven't taken the time to build a network or you know, any new friends. So I've just got those old people, and I go back around it, and they're doing the same thing. They're selling drugs. There's bongs around. There's
Yeah.
needles around. There's people around. There's stuff changing hands.
Gross.
And it's just one of those things to where it's like, I mean, and there's people in that life that I have a lot of love for,
Oh yeah,
that I've been through some shit with, that I care about, that I would
Yeah.
do almost anything for.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I gotta protect myself, and I gotta protect the things that are important to me. You know, and it's tough.
Absolutely. And the reason I said the kava bar thing, I didn't
Yeah.
think it was a real trigger,
Yeah.
but that's like kind of like a replacement, right? Because we still got to have fun.
Yeah.
We still got to figure out what fun looks like.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like fun to me, but it's something you get to go do that you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah. And I don't even think that it's so much necessarily the kava bar as much as it is just being somewhere with friends and talking. You know, really, it's for me like, you know, even the girl that I'm seeing, Trish, she always wants to like watch TV, and it's like, I don't watch TV. I sat on my back for years in a prison watching TV. I don't want to watch TV. You know, like for me, I would much rather just sit around in a quiet environment and talk with friends. Like to me, that's more interesting. I'd rather engage.
No,
You know, I don't know the connection. I'd rather have connection.
absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. And that's the main thing that has not been working for me because I haven't been practicing it is the social side of things.
yeah,
Right. I spend all day at work. I work in outreach. I spend all day talking to people. After all that, I kind of just want to come home and shut down. Well, what does that mean? That means doing work at work, and then quiet time at home with school or whatever that looks like. I don't really want to go engage so much outside of work.
yeah,
That's not healthy either. I got to have the social stuff. I got to have a really long conversation with you today on the way to Casa Grande, which is cool.
yeah,
But that's also kind of on purpose, right? And not just in a social scene, relax, not talking about work, not talking about whatever. It's something I got to be mindful of. You know, it's important.
yeah. And it's just finding what works. You know, like recovery is a personal thing. You know, and I think of it like one of the ways that I break it down in class when I'm talking to people is think of recovery as exercise. You know, George might like to hike. I might like to lift weights. Jeremy might like to do CrossFit. You know, Ashley might like to walk. At the end of the day, are any of us wrong?
Ashley, what do you like to do?
Hike. There it is there. Ashley likes to hike. But what I'm saying is that all of us are exercising.
Yeah.
So like, who am I to say that my way of exercising is better than yours? If it's working for you, if it's adding value to your life, if you're becoming a better person, and if you're growing, what's wrong with that? And nothing. And before, I was so arrogant and so egotistical that if somebody's recovery plan differed from mine, I almost took it as a challenge, and I took offense to it, and I would argue it, and I would badmouth it, and I would slander it. And that is so far from productive, and so far from loving, so far from kind, and so far from reality, because people are different.
Right.
99% of my life, I've made the wrong decision. Who the fuck am I to tell everybody that my way is correct? Always. It's not. You know, so it's just approaching people in recovery with love, meeting them where they're at, trying my best to be helpful, trying my best not to be judgmental, and just trying to approach everything with love, you know?
That's awesome, man. And that's my one thing, right? That I've talked about it before. How can I add love to this?
Yeah.
Right. Especially when I'm triggered or in my feelings or frustrated. Okay. How can I add love? Even to myself. How can I add love? Why do I feel this way? What do I got to do to feel better? How can I add love? If you ask that question, if you lead with that mentality, and it's for me, it's not possible all the time. Like I try, and sometimes I'm like, man, fuck love. I don't give a shit. I just want to be mad. Right. It's just what it is. But trying to stay on track and at least knowing, hey, I'm not adding love to something that I could be adding love to.
Yeah.
That's kind of my guardrails. It's what keeps me on track and keeps me moving forward. And being in this community with the recovery work, and you talk about the triggers and being around the people get high, like socially for me, that can be a huge trigger, right? Mm-hmm. It's not something I'm ever going to do on purpose.
Yeah.
All right. I might find myself in a weird situation, which I'm going to exit super fucking quick,
super
but I'm not
quick.
knowingly going to walk into a situation like that. Like I've chosen.
But in the past, have you fallen victim to that?
I've fallen past victim like 8 months ago. I'm not gonna call it victim, but I put myself in a situation thinking with my other head and not my top head.
It was high risk.
That was high risk and it was stupid. I talked to you about it. I didn't even talk to you about it the next day. That's how much shame I had. I talked to you about it 3 days later. And I was just like, I finally got it out, because if I hold that shit in, it's going to come out another way regardless. But on the flip side of that, working in recovery and seeing some people in the situations they put themselves in and the stuff that they're going through is like the opposite of a trigger.
Yeah.
It's like a fortifier for why I'm sober. And I'm so glad I'm not having to deal with that. I talked to somebody not too long ago about they had to go to court on a warrant because of something they had done recently. And I was just like, so glad that's not me. Like, it sucks that it's you. Like, I feel for them. I'm not happy it's for them, but it's a good daily reminder. Hey, George, make the fucking right decision because you're one step away from having those feelings again.
Yeah.
And the way I'm built now, I don't think I can handle those feelings again.
But
dude.
I don't know about you, but like when that happens, I don't go to court.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
That's when I start hitting that fucking button, dude. I'm like, oh, well, that's already gone wrong. I might as well go do 17 other felonies.
yeah,
And it's insane. Another thing too, and this is something that just came to me with these fingerprint clearance cards. So now, and this is where change fundamentally is absolutely has to happen. The state of Arizona has literally given us a credential that says, hey, you can go be around children.
Yeah.
But you can't go sell a house to adults.
yeah,
Right? You can't go sell real
yeah.
estate.
You can't go sell real
You can't
estate.
go work in a bank. You can't
Yeah,
do a million other
told
fucking
you the
jobs.
economic
But here, you want to go work
disparity.
around kids? Go ahead.
The
You can go-
economic
you can go work
dispa-
around kids.
yeah.
Our number one resource. Here's a state credential.
Yeah,
You're cleared. We say you're safe. Go ahead. You got 2 reference letters. You're good to go. But hey, you want to go sell houses? No, we don't trust you to do that.
yeah.
Go play with the kids.
Told you the economic disparity is something that really is going to have to take change in policy and legislation. There's so much work to do.
No,
There's so much work to do.
it's and absolutely insane. It blows my mind. I didn't even think about it until I got that card, and I was just like, "Holy shit! I can be around kids like officially, according to the state of Arizona, but I can't go sell a fucking house."
Yeah. It's nuts.
Insane.
I'd sling the hell out of houses.
Insane. I wouldn't want that job. I watched what my realtor went through, and I would absolutely.
Yeah, but if you knew about it
yeah,
and you accumulated properties,
yeah,
I-
absolutely. No, there's definitely stuff there. It's just the stuff that so much change has to happen, and we just got to keep pushing for it, moving forward.
Well, and that's part of advocacy.
yeah,
Jerry said
just-
we can sell cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. My man's got 10 auto thefts and a car dealership, man.
I wouldn't
love
sell
that
a car to anybody unless they had money for a warranty.
I just bought a truck from Freebird. I love it, Jerry. Thank you very much.
shit. Yeah, man.
You have a truck now?
Yeah. It's a bad motherfucker.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesse
I didn't
Doom.
know you moved on from the Audi.
No, I kept it. So now I got 1 year out of prison.
You got that. You got that
got
podcast.
the Audi, got
you
the truck.
You got the podcast
got
money,
that bike.
fool. You got that podcast.
Podcast. I'm losing money in gas. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm losing money on this podcast. Just getting to and from.
yeah.
Yeah, Jerry, we need that. We need your sponsorship again. So we're going to be needing our weekly check.
Jesse needs gas money to get to the podcast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm still paying off the t-shirts from last time.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Oh,
But
life
yeah,
is good.
If you guys want to put some stuff in the comments about what works or what doesn't work, we'd love to hear about it.
And there's more. There's more stuff that doesn't work, and this is something else that I've fallen victim to since I've been out. And I will say victim because I put myself in this situation. So I got released from prison and paroled to my dad's house. My dad's old. His health is not well, and my younger brother was strung out on fentanyl. And I was in a position to where, if I was mentoring somebody and sponsoring somebody, I would say absolutely do not ever live in a house with somebody using drugs. But in my current circumstance, it was okay. So do I live in the house with my dad, try to protect him and try to be there for him so that way he has somebody of sound counsel there, or do I let my brother and his friends take over the house? So in that situation, I paroled there. I stopped the traffic. Me and my brother butted heads, and he eventually started taking it elsewhere, and now is back incarcerated again. But it was one of those situations to where I was basically living in a house with somebody using for a couple of months, and that was uncomfortable. And that's the kind of stuff that happens to people all the time. They get out, they put work in prison, they try to stay away from everybody, and then you come home and it's in your household because it's your family.
Yep.
And it's tough, and it's something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, I remember how frustrated you were too, and
Yeah, it was tough.
yeah,
It was tough, and it's every time you try to talk to him, try to mentor him, everything that he would throw back on me is, what do you think I've been dealing with my whole life, bringing up my drug history and the choices that I made in my past. Finally one day I just told him it was wrong then and it's wrong now. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
My dad's not going to deal with this at the end of his life. So whether you like it or not, your friends got to go, and if you want to continue, then you got to go.
And he went right to prison.
yeah. He's on Surbat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but it's tough, man. Life is tough. Just because we get sober, just because we work a program of recovery, doesn't mean that we're still not going to be in challenging situations. Doesn't mean that we're not going to have confrontations. Doesn't not mean that we're not going to experience death. Doesn't mean that we're not going to experience issues with our family. Doesn't mean that we're not going to experience issues with employment, bad days. All that stuff is life. And having a recovery support system and having people in your life that add value, they help you navigate that stuff. That's why it's so important.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And your brother's defense, if I'm using, bro, you're not telling me shit. He's not telling me shit. Nobody's telling me shit. I'm getting high. So talking to someone, and he did what we do, right? He went a different direction. He put it all in his car and paid dearly, fucking paid dearly for that one. But, well, not too dearly, but that's what we do. We just get away because I'm not going to hear it from you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to hear it. That's the one thing that really confuses me. The guys that start using and then still want to hang around. I've seen that before. I've seen it in prison. I've had other peer supports that were actively using and then want to come and hang out. I'm like, dude, get the fuck away from me, dude.
Like,
I will support you professionally, but you're not going to be in my social circle. You're definitely not.
yeah.
No.
I think sometimes, though, that can come from people genuinely wanting to not use, but some people just can't stop. I mean, I've been there where I can't stop
Yeah,
once you
can't
start.
stop.
And I get it.
So they're trying to maybe be around, people that are on the right track, so maybe they can get some of that. But it's frustrating when you're on the right track to have that around you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because there's no help if you're just lying to me. There's nothing we can have. There's nothing to talk about at all.
What if you don't know I'm lying?
I can tell when you're fucking lying.
I think one of the things that didn't work for me was taking a couple years off of school. I initially started school when I got out, and then I put work ahead of my family. I put work ahead of my school. I put work ahead of everything. And I, like we had spoken before on the podcast about boundaries, it's just like addiction. Everything else around you starts to suffer, So that's why I had that renewed commitment this year that no matter what, I'm taking a course every season to stay up on it.
Yeah.
That's fire. 20 years, Peggy. That's awesome. Peggy Groups said, "Amen, Jesse Master. Life is never easy. It's how we get through it and stop making excuses for our relapse. 20 years this sober. 20 years this year sober. Why? Because I wanted it. Hell yeah, she did.
Congratulations.
Peggy's awesome, man.
She's awesome. She's such good
Congratulations.
people.
Absolute rock star. Yeah, and you can have all the excuses in the world, and I could have, or this and that, and that brutal honesty, vulnerability, asking for help. That's the stuff that matters, right? Because I'm really, really fucking good at lying. I did it my whole life. Practice day in, practice day out. Being honest, being able to have those conversations, knowing who you are, knowing other people know who the fuck you are.
You'll be right back with my money.
I'll be right back with your money, bro. I'll be right back. And on the flip side, on the vulnerability side, I've seen that the more I ask for help, the more people that want to support. Hey, I don't know how to do this. Hey, let me help you. Right? Because I'm surrounded by the right people. And it's so grateful. And then to see this list of rock stars that's on here commenting and talking, it's just,
Absolutely.
man, it's beautiful.
So let's talk about self-care a little bit more.
Fuck self-care.
Self-care is important, man. So what are you doing for self-care, George?
Right now, I'm not doing shit. If I'm being completely honest. Maybe I sleep in a little bit on a Saturday, maybe take a nap on a Sunday, squeeze something in there, but that's about it. I really do have to get my self-care game up. However, I did know that this season, this couple of months was going to be rough. I knew that going in. I had some extra stuff I got put on my plate at work. I had 2 school classes. I had math and science, which are fucking not up my alley.
Yeah.
We got into this house. Everything kind of, all the good stuff, great stuff, all came at once. So it was a lot of responsibility, a lot of stuff that we had to get done. And then Catherine was kind enough to introduce a dog to our lives, added some more stuff.
Yeah.
So this past couple of months, it's just been about surviving, kind of getting through. But now as I finished the science class, that's done. I got a few more weeks left in my math class. As I come out the other side of this, self-care's got to be a part of it. And exercise is on the agenda. Social stuff, which Erin held me accountable to, is on the agenda. Whatever it is she wants to do is going to be on the agenda at some point, because I got to be a little bit more intentional with my relationship, because she deserves attention too. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Not in a great place with self-care.
Yeah. I would argue that service is a form of self-care, as long as it's not overboard. I think for me, like, service helps keep me sane and service helps keep me sober. But in addition to that, definitely exercise is a big part of it. Prayer meditation is a big part of it. Socializing with my buddies at places, and just sitting around talking and, about positive stuff, about recovery, about life, about overcoming obstacles, stuff like that. Just getting up in the morning and having coffee with my dad, before work, and being able to cherish those moments, getting good rest, adequate rest, just all that stuff, man. And
What's the last fun thing you did? Just genuine fun.
Genuine fun. I'm going to thank Aaron Yeager for inviting me to the escape room.
Oh, that's right. You guys went to the escape room.
Yeah, that was a blast. I'll
Nice.
tell you what, I did not expect it. It was kind of cool. Yeah, until Jeremy farted in there. We were in about a 4x4 room and hotboxed the entire room.
Self-care.
Yes. Other than that, though, the escape room was great.
It happens, man. It happens. What about you? What are you doing for self-care?
I do, just like you, George, being intentional with spending time with my wife, and like you, Jesse, waking up and I have coffee with her every morning. We hug each other. Just love, man.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, self-care, fishing, getting more adamant about picking up more books. Like I just picked up that book that was suggested to me through a friend. And yeah, finished school, got that science class out of the way. That was good. And just looking forward to what's next.
Yeah, George,
I brushed my teeth the other day too. It'd been like a week, I think.
I'm hoping that that's daily, multiple times. But anyway, George, I would argue that going to church every week is a form of self-care, which you
right.
have been doing, and socially.
I haven't done it in 2 weeks. I got to get back in there.
Will you smell my breath, Jesse?
No, absolutely not.
I do have to get back in there, man. Shout out to North Phoenix Baptist. They have a great church, great church service. And you talked about God. Like, I'm not a big preachy guy whatsoever. I denied any kind of higher power. This is me and my recovery and doing my thing. I don't need any help from anybody else. The universe provides. And since I started going to that church, it's put me in line, in contact with so many fucking amazing people. It's unreal. I had an hour conversation with the dean of students for GCU the other day because I met him at church, right? JC and I, wrong to strong, could not, between the two of us, figure out a way to get together. We're sharing calendars. We're like, hey, this, that. Well, I got this, I got that. I'll be in this prison. I'll be in that prison. Blah, blah, blah. Can't figure
See
it
you
out.
at church on Sunday.
We didn't even know we went to that church.
Yeah.
God put him literally right across the aisle. I'm like, holy shit, hey, we got an hour right now. What's up, dude? And it's cool. And I go with Frank and Troy, and Troy's new to the outreach thing. He's working with another organization. And I got to hang out with him this morning at a parole orientation, and his wife and their baby. And Ashley comes and she loves it. She's in there praying, hands in the air. It's just, it's awesome, man. It's such a great day. You're 100% right. I forgot about that. I do self-care. I go to church. Thank you. You just helped me win a huge argument. But yeah, it's Lacey loves it too. That's awesome, Lacey. We'll see you there one Sunday.
Yeah,
Look forward to it.
absolutely.
Well, as we wrap this up, what do you got left? What do you want to leave everybody with? Something fun. Leave us with something fun tonight, Jess.
Leave us with something fun, huh? Well, what I will leave you with is the reality that I know that the life I was living was not fun. And that through trusting the process, working a program of recovery, and doing things that I didn't want to do, my life has been better than it ever has been. You know, for those that are listening to this podcast that are out there that are struggling, just do the work. Just do the work, do the work, do the work. Trust the process. It gets easier. Life gets better. You can get sober. You can overcome addiction. You can, and you deserve a good life.
Nice, man. That was real fucking fun, dude.
It's reality.
Jeremy, what you got, man? Absolutely, it is, right? It's not all fun and games.
Yeah, you know, just the change is real, right? Like whatever you're going through, whether it's addiction or your, you know, mental health is you know, troubling you. You know, there's a way out, and it's through connection. It's through, you know, staying close to your churches, close to your meetings, close to your circle. If you don't have any mentorship in your life, get a mentor. You know, start expanding your social group and get out there. And you know what? Freaking do it with a smile on your face, because you're happy, joyous, and free. You know, you're not locked up. You're not, you know, like this is you have, it's wide open for you.
I agree 100%. And I'm going to close with this. The other day I went to a treatment center to go drop off a little care package for a buddy that's in treatment. And I was leaving, and there was a female that was in the lobby, and she was checking in, trying to get her dose or mat services or whatever she had going on. And she was dope sick. And I could see it. I've been there. I get it. I recognize it. I was just like, man, she was just sitting there, and she was being really kind, you know, which I know when I was dope sick, I wasn't the most kindest person in the world. She was just asking. She was being polite. And it was in a public place. And she sat, well, not in a public place, but in the lobby. And then she sat down on the couch, and I walked by her, and I took a second. I was just like, hey, just so you know, I promise you it really does get better. And she's like, man, I fucking hope so. I was just like, yeah. You got it, man. And I walked out, and I am such a dope fiend. I told Ashley in the car that kind of triggered me like a little bit, like not like I wanted to go get high,
Yeah.
but like I almost like missed it or something. It was just, it was a weird.
It's called empathy, George. You
Yeah.
have it now.
No, this wasn't empathy. This was completely substance use related. But I was like, I missed the feeling right before that one.
Yeah.
Right? Like my mind tried to go back to that, and it was just like,
Yeah.
you know.
Is
So
that right before you found something on the floor?
Yeah.
Somebody called you and said yes.
Yeah. No, it's just it's
Yeah.
really awesome, and that's another one of those reminders. Like, man, I'm really glad that I don't have to deal with that today.
Yeah.
So, thank you everybody for being out here. Thank
you,
for checking
everyone.
in. Love you guys. Mindset's everything, Jesse said. Have a good night.